Ulysses S. Grant was born April 27, 1822 in Point Pleasant, Ohio. His birth name was really Hiram Ulysses Grant. He flipped his name so it would no longer have the initials of Hug. The reason why the middle name is S is because when he was admitted at West Point, they made a mistake with his name. Grant was reluctant when he entered the United States Military Academy at West Point. From West Point, Grant took part in the Mexican-American War. He was involved in several major battles. After the war, Grant married Julia Dent, and they would have 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. Ulysses S. Grant was appointed colonel of the Illinois 21st Volunteer Force. 4 months later, he was appointed general. Grant's first major victory of the war for the Union was at Fort Donelson in Tennessee on February 16, 1862. This victory broke the strong Confederate hold on the West. Grant's next major battle took place at Shiloh, Tennessee. It was an attack led by the Confederate Army that took Grant off guard. It was the bloodiest battle of the war. It had more casualties than in the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and the Mexican War combined. Grant knew it would be a long war from there.
When Grant began his spring campaign of '64, he took what they called the heavies, the heavy artillerymen out of the forts in Washington and put them in the field. And many of them had been in the Army 2 or 3 years and never had heard a shot fired in anger. And as these units marched into camp, they were so much larger than the combat regiments that soldiers alongside the road used to say, "What division is that?" There were so many of them. But they had some fierce things. The first time they'd go into combat, they'd have a mangled corpse, artillery casualty, by the side of the road with a blanket over him. And as the new green regiments came abreast of him, they'd whisk the blanket off and say, "This is what's waiting for you up ahead." Not a very pleasant story.
To get possession of Lee's army was the first object. With the capture of his army, Richmond would necessarily follow. It was better to fight him outside his stronghold than in it. Ulysses S. Grant.
This advance by General Grant inaugurated the 7th act in the On to Richmond drama played by the armies of the Union. General John B. Gordon.
That man Grant will fight us every day and every hour till the end of the war. General James Longstreet.
Grant's plan called for 4 simultaneous blows. William Tecumseh Sherman had orders to strike out from Chattanooga for Atlanta. Franz Sigel would advance up the Shenandoah Valley. Benjamin Butler was to lead an army up from the James River. And George Gordon Meade was to lead the Army of the Potomac, 110,000 strong, south against Lee. "Wherever Lee goes, you will go also," Grant told Meade, and Grant would come along too. Lee's strategy was unchanged: destroy the Union resolve to wage war. He would refuse to fight Grant in the open, force him to attack fortified Confederate positions, and thereby offset Grant's superior numbers. The bloody cost of trying to force the South back into the Union at gunpoint would bolster anti-war sentiment in the North.
If we can break up the enemy's arrangements early and throw him back, he will not be able to recover his position or his morale until the presidential election is over. And then we shall have a new president to treat with. General James Longstreet.
Ulysses S. Grant had a bold strategy for his next major battle. For this attack on Vicksburg, he approached it by going around the town and attack from the south. This was risky, but it paid off with an important victory. The Battle of Chattanooga, Tennessee was a significant victory over the Confederates. President Lincoln decided to appoint Grant supreme commander of the entire Union after this battle. Grant's next couple battles were frustrating. Those were against Robert E. Lee's defenses. First came the Battle of the Wilderness, which was chaos. Next, the Battle of Spotsylvania, which was 5 days of trench warfare. Grant was finally able to break Lee's defenses at Cold Harbor, Virginia. This was the first step of getting Robert E. Lee to surrender, which he did at Appomattox Courthouse. This would mean victory for the North and the end of the Civil War.